The Ghost by Sara Teasdale, 1884 to 1933. I went back to the clanging city. I went back where my old love stayed. But my heart was full of my new love's glory. My eyes were laughing and unafraid. I met one who had loved me madly, and told his love for all to hear. But we talked of 1,000 things together. The past was buried too deep to fear. I met the other whose love was given, with never a kiss and scarcely a word. Oh, it was then the terror took me, of words unuttered, that breathed and stirred. O love that lives its life in laughter, or love that lives its life with tears can die. But love that is never spoken goes like a ghost through the winding years. I went back to the clanging city. I went back where my old love stayed. My heart was full of my new love's glory, but my eyes were suddenly afraid. Okay, this poem is by Sara Teasdale. She's an American poetess. She lived most of her life in New York City. She got married to a guy called Ernst. What's his other name? Yeah, Ernst Filsinger. Yeah, and he was an admirer of her poetry. And it wasn't a happy marriage. He was often away on business. And after about 15 years, they got divorced, but they lived in New York City. And after her divorce, she carried on living in New York. So she's a product of New York City of the 20s, of the Roaring 20s. So what's this about? Well, this is about the ghost of love. Let's see, she goes back to a city where there are two men that she used to be in love with, and she goes to meet them, and now she's got a new love, and she's happy and in love with her new relationship. And the first lover, she meets him, and this was a man who was always telling everyone how much in love he was with her, and they had their romance, and they lived their love affair, and then it finished. And after talking to him, she realized that this was something that was buried in the past. This was past and would stay in the past. But then she met the other man that she was in love with, and this was a relationship where it was like a relationship in secret. They didn't have a love affair, although they were in love with each other. At least she was in love with him. And suddenly she realizes that she still has feelings for this man. And she comes to the conclusion that a love affair that is lived to its full is something that that dies out, and then is something that is in your past and forgotten and can't be rekindled. Whereas a love that was never expressed, that the love affair itself never happened, although the love was there, is something that can live with you forever, like a ghost. And that's why the poem is called The Ghost. And then she becomes worried about her current relationship, and about how permanent that is, and what will happen to it. So, I went back to the clanging city. I went back where my old love stayed. So she goes back to a city where she used to live. Yeah, and there are two of her ex-lovers in this city. Notice this clanging city. We've got alliteration here, and this gives the idea of clang clang, the movement and the life and the hustle and bustle of the city. But my heart was full of my new love's glory. My eyes were laughing and unafraid. Yeah, so she's in love with a new man. She has a new relationship. Yeah, and she's certain in this relationship, and she's happy about it, and she's certain that nothing can destroy that love. I met one who had loved me madly, and told his love for all to hear. So she met with one of her ex-lovers, and this was somebody who told everybody how much he loved her. And this relationship was something that was out in public. And they loved each other madly. Yeah? And they spent time together and they did things. But we talked of 1,000 things together. So they talked together and they were really happy talking to each other. And they got on really well, but now as friends. The past was buried too deep to fear. And she realizes that this relationship is something of the past. It's not something that could be rekindled. Yeah, and this ex-lover is not something that endangers her current relationship. I met the other, whose love was given with never a kiss and scarcely a word. So now she meets with the other person she was in love with, but this relationship was very different. This was in secret. They didn't express their love for each other. They didn't have this passionate love affair, even though they were in love with each other. Yeah, and they never kissed, and they barely talked to each other, but they were in love with each other. And oh, it was then the terror took me, of words unuttered that breathed and stirred. And she suddenly realizes that she still has feelings for this man, because this love has never been expressed. They've never told each other how much they've loved each other. And suddenly she's afraid for her new relationship. Yeah, it was then the terror took me. Then the terror took me. Then the terror took me. More alliteration. Of words unuttered, unspoken words. But these words, they breathed and stirred. So this relationship is still in her heart. It's still something alive. It's not something from her past. O love that lives its life with laughter, or love that lives its life with tears can die. So a love that is openly expressed, where there is a relationship between the two people. Yeah, whether it be happy or whether it be sad, whatever happens, this is something that can die and finish. But love that is never spoken goes like a ghost through the winding years. But somebody that you were in love with, but you never actually had this loving relationship with this person. This is something like a ghost that will follow you, winding backwards and forwards through the years. So this is something that stays with you. And then she repeats the opening lines again, but with a twist. I went back to the clanging city. I went back where my old love stayed. My heart was full of my new love's glory. So this is the same as the beginning. She goes back to the old city, and her old lovers are here, and she's in love with her new love. But my eyes were suddenly afraid. And here's the twist. But now she realizes that maybe her present relationship is something that won't last forever, that it's something that will live and die. and she's suddenly afraid for this love because she realizes that it's an expressed love, and that is a love that can die, whereas this love that was unexpressed with her second lover is something that follows you down the years. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. The Ghost by Sara Teasdale.